Thank you for joining us here today for our cool new 4 to 20 milliamp tools for your bench and toolbox webinar. In this webinar here today, we're going to see a couple new products from Precision Digital that I think you're going to find really interesting and hopefully helpful for you to keep with you on your bench or in your toolbox as you're working with process signals. Now, before we get started, I do have some bookkeeping that I'd like to get out of the way at first here. As you may have noticed, you are all in listen-only mode. There's simply too many people in the audience to have a bunch of open phone lines and still make the webinar work. And so you're not going to be able to talk to me or to the audience. However, if you have questions you'd like me to address during the webinar here today, you can type those questions into that chat box on your screen in the lower left, and I'll be happy to address those in between products or as we go along. If we don't get to your question today, we will do a follow-up with you afterwards, so feel free to ask questions you have, and if I don't have time to get to them, we'll follow up with you. The number one question that I get asked is, will we have the slides from this presentation or a recording of this presentation that will be made available to people after the webinar? And the answer there is absolutely yes. I would suspect by mid-next week, you should have an email that is going out to everyone who signed up for this webinar with the slides in PDF form and with the recording of today's webinar. Now, I also want to let you know that there's a couple of short videos that we're going to play during this webinar. Due to some technical difficulty reasons, those videos are only available to people, or I should say the audio of those videos are only available to those of you who are listening on your computer speakers. If you're on a phone dial-in, you might not be able to hear that video audio. They are short. They're only a minute or two, so I'd appreciate it if you can't hear the audio, if you would just keep a watch on those, and we'll pick right back up with my audio once those videos are done. And lastly, when we get to the end of the webinar, there is a survey that asks you things like, what did you think of the webinar? What other webinar ideas might you have that you'd like to see from us? And if you just take a minute to fill out that short form, I really would appreciate that, because it helps us put on better webinars in the future and improve on what kinds of topics we offer you to make sure they're things you want to see. With that, let's get started. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Joe Ryan, the VP of Sales and Marketing for Precision Digital. And today, we're going to be looking at our PD420 set point generator, our PD9501 multifunction calibrator, its low-cost cousin, the PD9502 handheld low-cost signal generator, the PDA1001 USB power pack, which is a remote battery pack for that low-cost handheld unit. And we're going to look at a Q&A as well as a few other new products from Precision Digital that you should be aware of. Before we look at our first product, I'd love to know how the timing works out for folks and how different people in different parts of the continent like to attend these. And so if you would just go ahead and let me know what part of the continent you're from, and if you are not from the US or Canada, please click on Other, and then just type in your chat window and let me know where you're from. This helps us with future time planning, as we're always trying to make these at convenient times for folks. As you may know, we had 3 of them this week, trying to make sure that everybody who wants to get one can get into a webinar. And it looks like most people are from the East Coast, although we've got a pretty good spread here. And there are a number of you who are typing in others, so I appreciate those of you who are typing in there and let me know where you're from. And then the last question before we get started is, what kind of industry are you in? Are you an end user in a specific type of plant, or are you an industrial distributor who sells in all different kinds of plants and would either be using these themselves or possibly even just selling them to your customers? This will help me tailor my questions a little bit and the things I comment on. But please know that it doesn't matter what you respond. You're going to get value out of today's webinar. It's not very targeted. And it looks like the vast majority of you out there are industrial distributors, but we do have plenty of end users in here as well. So I'll keep this pretty general, although I may throw a few comments in for that industrial distributor attendee. So let's take a look at our first new product here, the PD420 panel mount 4 to 20 milliamp set point generator. So if we just look at that title for a moment, that lets you know that this is a panel mount product. As you can see, it's designed to be put through a hole cutout in a panel. It snaps in place, and then you simply operate it from the front with that turn dial. That lets you generate a 4 to 20 milliamp signal manually. You just rotate the dial, and you watch a 4 to 20 milliamp change. This is a great way to get a 4 to 20 milliamp into another device for either a benchtop device where you're going to be using it to prove or test all different kinds of equipment, or even on a panel where you want to be able to switch to a manual mode. This might be sending a 4 to 20 milliamp signal to a valve positioner, a servo, a PLC, or even just being used in a system test to replace the transmitter as a check on the fact that all of your alarms and such are working. It is a compact device. You can see that penny over here on the left. So this is not a big thing to fit on your panel. This is a small panel mount meter, or small panel mount generator. The display will show you 0 to 100%, or 4 to 20 milliamps, 3 to 21 if that's your setting. And it outputs 4 to 20 or 3 to 21 milliamps, depending on what the bounds are you want to set. And this device is only $149, so it's a pretty inexpensive way to get a nice, easy manual control of your 4 to 20 milliamp signal. As I mentioned earlier, it is panel mount, but it's also only NEMA 1. So know that this is not going to go outdoors somewhere where it's going to get wet. This is just a NEMA 1 device, and if you need it NEMA 4, you'll have to put it behind a clear panel and put this in a sub-panel. The display is backlit, though, so you can see it in different lighting conditions. And as with most precision digital products, there's a depluggable connector on the back. So doing your wiring of this is going to be pretty easy. And it's only 2 wires, as it's a loop-powered signal generator. That loop can be 15 to 30 VDC powered. So if you are like most people and you're using a 24-volt supply to run your 4 to 20 milliamp loop, you've got no problem there. And we've got a dial on the front, which is what you use to adjust your 4 to 20. That means you don't have to dial in specific numbers with like an up, down, left, right keypad. You just spin the dial to what you want. Now, I'm going to pause here for a minute and address one of the questions I have, which it has to do with those of you who may have seen the data sheet online, the programmable nature of this 4 to 20 output. Though the vast majority of people using these do just turn the dial to generate a 4 to 20, you can generate more complicated waveforms if you want. It is possible to build in a segment-based program to create some 4 to 20 milliamp pulses, or even something that simulates a sine wave. If you want to have like a sawtooth where your 4 to 20 ramps up and comes back down, you can do that. It's not how most people use the product, but it does have that capability if you need to set it up for that. Here's a couple simple diagrams that show you how this connects to things. So here we have our 4 to 20 set point generator. And in this case, we're using a 4 to 20 milliamp input device like a PLC, inverter, servo, or valve positioner, and a separate 24-volt power supply. So we're coming out of our 24-volt power supply, going into our loop-powered set point generator. You're going to use that dial on the front to set whatever you want the 4 to 20 milliamps to be. And it's going to come out of that and into your PLC, valve positioner, etc. Then you just connect the common on that input device back to the power supply, and you've got your 4 to 20 milliamp loop. Now, if you are using a device that has a power supply already built into it for the 4 to 20 milliamp input, for example, some PLCs will have that. Those of you who have used our ProView meters know that those all come with a power supply included for the input. Well, then all you need to do is just connect your positive on the 24 volts to your milliamp input. It's 2 wires and you're done. Also on this page, you'll see that we've got the dimensions there, just to drive home the fact that this is only about 3 inches wide by about 1.7 inches tall. So this is not a big device. It's easy to fit on your panel. And as far as getting it into the panel, all you have to do is just make your cutout, and then it's got built-in snaps, so you just push it through the front of your panel. So very easy to install, very easy to wire. If you like the idea of this, but you don't already have a panel for it to go in, or maybe you want to simply use it on your bench top as a transmitter simulator, we do offer a line of enclosures for this product that come with the cutout already in the box. So we've got our cutout for 1 meter, which is our 2802, and then we've got cutouts for 2 and 3 meters as well in the 2800 series. Now, we say NEMA 4X here. I want to point out that this is no longer NEMA 4X. Though the plastic box is, it's not a NEMA 4X front. It's just NEMA 1. So you're not going to be able to get this wet unless you put some kind of a cover over that. And as these are going with a product that's pretty low cost, you'll notice the cost of these enclosures with the cutouts are low as well. With that, I've got a short 1-minute video that I'd like you to watch that'll just show you this PD420 in action. And so I appreciate you sticking with us while we watch the video. Again, if you find you don't have audio for the video, I'll be back here with you in 1 minute. So just watch what's going on. I think you'll get the hang of it. And we'll see you back here in a moment.
So here we have Precision Digital's new PD420 set point generator. And you'll notice it's a panel mounted device. In this case, we have installed it in Precision Digital's Helios demo unit. And what we're demonstrating is it's a great little handy device if all you want to do is generate a 4 to 20 milliamp signal to drive some other device. So in this case, we're putting out 4 to 20 milliamps and bringing it into the Helios, where we are displaying LEL %. And as we adjust the set point generator, the signal changes. And in fact, when we get to 20, the horn sounds. And the light resets. So PD420, very simple, low cost, easy to use device when you just want to generate a 4 to 20 milliamp signal.
All right, thank you for watching that. And by the way, that shows our new light and horn modification for our PD2 large display Helios products as well. And we'll see that again very, very briefly at the end. But if you like the look of that large display meter with all the features of the ProView, plus a light and horn built in, that is a new product that we offer, and we'll be happy to do some follow-up with you on that if you would like. This is our PD9501 multifunction calibrator. This is the more feature-packed version of our 2 handheld generators and calibrators you're going to see here, as this can take a variety of signal inputs from 4 to 20 milliamps to 0 to 10 volts, various thermocouples, RTDs, even resistance. And in addition to sourcing it, it can measure it. So you've got the ability to source and measure on the same screen all those different kinds of inputs. It's small, handheld, lightweight, compact. Even in the carrying case, it's very easy to fit into your toolbox and carry around with you, have available anywhere you need to be. And it is battery powered. It can charge up via USB cable, and you can just take it out in the field wherever you need it to go. One great thing about this is it includes the 24-volt power needed to drive a transmitter. So if you want to check if your transmitter is working, we can actually source the power needed to bring that 4 to 20 back into this handheld unit. And this starts at $600 or $599. So it's a great alternative to some much more expensive products that are similar to it in the field right now. You'll notice there's 3 terminals on the top. You've got your standard common, then you've got an output terminal and a measurement terminal. And similarly on the button side, you've got your measurement controls and your output controls to go along with your measurement and your output display. It'll show you what you're measuring, keep your units on there. Those of you who have used devices like this before will get how this works. It's pretty easy to understand. This one's got some nice ruggedized keypad. It's pretty low cost, and it's easy to carry around with you. Those are the big advantages of it. You're not going to be surprised at how it operates. I think you'll have a pretty easy time with it. And this is a picture that shows you how it stores. As you can see, the unit itself fits inside a fairly small carry case. In there you can see your USB cable for charging. We've got some clip connectors that we include that easily fit in there, but we also have some probe connectors that come with it as well. Before we move on and see the low-cost cousin of the 9501, I'd like to have an idea of who it is I'm talking to out there. What's your position or your title? This is for those of you who said you were industrial distributors. If you are not an industrial distributor, as there are some of you in the audience, feel free to click Other here and let me know that as well. It'd be nice to know who finds these kinds of products interesting and chose to show up. I can see that some of you who have clicked on Other are actually telling me. I really do appreciate that kind of interaction. Very helpful for me when we plan future webinars. It looks like those of you out there in the distributor world have a pretty wide range of titles, but most likely you are in the field folks, which is great to see, because that's exactly who we're targeting with this kind of equipment. Here we have the 9502 low-cost signal generator. So this is the lower cost version of that 9501 that we saw earlier, and this is designed very simply to produce a 4 to 20 milliamp or 0 to 10 volt signal. It's very compact, even smaller than the 9501. This is actually the hand of one of our marketing team here, and so this isn't some stock image we photoshopped together. It really is that small, and it's just really convenient to stick in your pocket and carry around with you, although you do need to power it. It's not battery powered. It's an easy way to get a 0 to 20 milliamp, 4 to 20 milliamp, 0 to 10, or 2 to 10 volt output for only $99. Now, as you saw before in the previous image, it's got a connector block on the bottom, and that's where you're going to bring in your 15 to 27 VDC to power it. It does come with a wall plug supply, so if you just want to use 120 AC, we've got a power block for you. You can just plug into an outlet. Although it can also be USB powered. No, you can't see it at this angle. There is a USB terminal at the top, and you can just bring in a USB cord to power this as well. So if you don't have access to a 120 plug and you just want to hook it up inside the same charger you use for your cell phone in your truck, or you want to tie it into a USB battery pack like we'll see in a moment, you can certainly do that. Very basic unit, easy to use. You've got the ability to set your range just by clicking on, no surprise, that range button. And then you've got displays at the top here that lets you know if it's volts or milliamps that you've got selected. And to change your values, you just turn the knob, much like you would on that PD420 that we saw earlier. Now I've got another video here for you that's just a couple minutes long that shows this in action, connected up to our ProView demo. So I will see you back here in just a few minutes, and appreciate you watching.
Here we have Precision Digital's new PD9502 signal generator. A great low-cost tool to have in every toolbox out in the instrument and control world. The PD9502 is $99. It comes with these alligator clips, a 24 volt DC wall plug, and you can also power it off of a optional USB pack. So what we have here is the PD9502 is connected to a PDD 6000 demo, and we're going to go through and just demonstrate how you can quickly calibrate a device using the PD9502. So we're going to program the meter to take in a 4 to 20 milliamp signal. Then we'll go to the internal calibration feature. And now the meter is asking us for input 1, so all we have to do is dial the pot down to 4 milliamps. Oh, and I have it, actually right now I have it set right now so it's showing 0 to 100%. If I press this button, it now shows 4 milliamps. So we're putting in 4 milliamps. And we'll adjust the display to read 200. And now it's asking us for input 2, so all I have to do is slide the pot all the way to the other side, and we're putting out 20 milliamps. And the meter's asking us for 20 milliamps. It read that input. Now we'll change this to read 5,000. And there you go. PD9502. Simple and easy way to calibrate all of your 4 to 20 milliamp devices. 200 at 4 milliamps. 5,000 at 20 milliamps. So I'm holding in my hand Precision Digital's new PD9502 milliamp and voltage signal generator. The PD9502 can be powered either from 24 volts DC, or as you see in this case, we're powering it right off of that optional USB power pack. Now I have the PD9502 connected up to Precision Digital's new PD9501 signal generator calibrator, which can calibrate signals like thermocouples, RTDs, current, voltage, and resistance. So this demonstrates how accurate a simple low-cost signal generator can be versus a more sophisticated full-featured multimeter.
All right, thank you very much for watching that with us. I think it's a really good illustration of how easy this is to use and how accurate it is, showing you that you really can use this for field work. When you're troubleshooting or doing setups, it's plenty accurate to make sure things are working just fine for you. And it's a nice low-cost way to make sure you've got a 4 to 20 milliamp generator anywhere you're going to need it when you're out there doing your job. Now in that video, you saw this PDA 1001 USB power bank. This is not specifically limited to being used with the 9502. You certainly could use it to charge up your phone or any other USB device, but we're offering it here because we think it's a great way to power up that signal generator. It can power that generator for over 6 hours. So if you've got this fully charged, it's going to last you all day out there. It's compact and fits in the palm of your hand. You saw it connected up to the 9502 with some tape in that video a moment ago, so it's really easy if you just want to bind it on the side of that. And this is a USB-powered device. And what I mean by that is it literally takes a USB in. So this takes a micro USB port in when you want to power the device, which is what a lot of you are going to have lying around for your cell phones. And then when you want to charge something with it, you just plug in a standard USB cable on one end with whatever you want to charge as plug on the other. So we include this USB to micro USB charging cable for connecting up to the PD9502. But I have been asked before, and it looks like I have some questions here again today. Could I put a USB to USB-C connector on here to connect up to those new cell phone jacks? You certainly could. If that's a convenient thing you're looking for, you certainly can do that. And as I'm sure you know, if you have one of those phones, there are plenty of USB-C to micro USB adapters out there as well. But this is coming with all the cables that you're going to need to charge up this power pack and get it to work with the 9502. And it's a way to battery power your 9502 for only $19. So it's a pretty low-cost add-on that really does expand the capability and range of use for your PD9502. Here you have it actually connected up. So you've got your USB power bank, your standard USB that goes into your micro USB and runs your PD9502. So what have we seen here today? Well, we saw our PD420 panel mount 4 to 20 milliamp set point generator, manually control 4 to 20 just by turning that knob. We saw our PD9501 multifunction calibrator, a great way to get precise signals in and out, measuring and sourcing for just about any kind of process signal you're going to work with. If you primarily work in the 4 to 20 world and you're always struggling to get a signal in order to test things or evaluate where something might be wrong in your system, well, then you've got the 9502 low-cost signal generator. If you just need a 4 to 20 or 0 to 10 source, you can bring with you anywhere. And the 9501 power pack that will run it without needing to be plugged in. I mentioned back at the beginning that there are a few other products I just want to make sure you're aware of. And we saw some of this in our videos, the new light and horn options from Precision Digital. Now that could be a ProView in a box, where we provides you the ProView, the box with all the cutouts you need for the light and horn, reset push button, and ProView. Or it could be a Helios where we will actually install the light on the top of the Helios for you. And as you can see in these pictures, we've got a lot more available than just the one red light. We've got all sorts of different colors, red, green, yellow, blue, as well as white and a multicolor light. And then we've even got a light stack if you want a red, green, yellow escalating light stack. A few other products that we've just recently put available for sale, and you'll likely see some webinars on soon, are our split core AC current transformers. These are a way to measure up to 1,000 amps where you don't have to make any disconnects because it is a split core device, and then output that as a 0 to 5 amp signal to go into products like our PD6400 meter. Or if you like to stay in the world of 4 to 20 milliamps, but you still need to measure some high current, we've got these split core current transducers, which are low-powered devices which output a 4 to 20 milliamp signal for up to 120 amps. And those can go right into meters like our ProView or any of the other 4 to 20 milliamp products that you regularly work with. And my last question for you here today is, would you like us to contact you for additional training? With so many distributors in the audience, it seems a great question to ask, but it also applies to any of you who may be working in the field. If you'd like us to contact you or any of the engineers or techs at your plant and see about additional training by us or our distributors, go ahead and click yes here. And if you're a distributor and you'd like us to come in and show you these and all our other new products, we'd be happy to do that as well. I'll give you a moment to let all those answers come in. All right, well, I will thank you for joining us here today. Hopefully, you'll find these new products not just interesting, but helpful. I'd encourage you to at least pick up a 9502, give it a shot, because personally I find it incredibly helpful. But if you need some multifunction calibrators or sources and that 9501 look good to you, then feel free to get one of those. If the PD420 looked interesting, again, it's a low-cost product, so try one out. For those of you who are distributors out there, they're great units to show around to your customers. Everyone that you're going to be seeing uses these sorts of products, so they'd love to see them because they've just really gone over well for us. And by the way, if you are a distributor and you wanted to do your own marketing campaign on those products, then I'd urge you to get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to work with you on that as well. So I hope everyone found today's webinar useful. I look forward to seeing you on future webinars where we talk about new precision digital products or technologies. And I wish you all a good weekend. Thanks again.